All right, so we're up, but the rumors that there was going to be shit going third party to Xbox was going on for over a month, and Twitter isn't real life, but that's also like the chief Xbox and Pony freaking battleground. It's Twitter, talking shit to each other. It ain't no different than Republicans and Democrats. It's Team Red, I mean Team Green, and then Team Blue all the damn time. And so the ponies are going like, it's all coming over, bro. It's all coming over, bro. And so there were rumors finally coming out that that their Xbox games were coming, and they specifically mentioned Sea of Thieves and what was the other shit? But like God damn it, Hi-Fi Rush. Those were the first two mentioned, and then there was data in the game of like this, like a switch shirt, and then like a green shirt, red, green, and blue was like some stuff they found and put in Hi-Fi Rush, and so people was like, oh no, it's coming everywhere, and
It's
then
going everywhere.
and then after that, Xbox don't even have time to sit there and come up with, yo, we're going to let us talk about it. It just goes, they go ape shit insane. And finally, I don't think it was even Phil came out yet, but he says we're going to have a business meeting event or some shit. I'm like, all right, but we're going to wait. We're going to wait.
Everybody assumed the worst.
We're going to do it in a week, and they didn't say anything one way or another. And there was like, and I shit you not, I was working overnight, and so I seen this shit and listened to it. There was a 7-hour fucking struggle session on Twitter Live. It had 1,000 concurrent, but it's 67,000 people were attended it overall of the fucking Xbox having a damn cry session.
I wonder if you could track the Xbox Series S or whatever trade-ins at GameStop over like a few days time. I wonder if it shot up just out of curiosity.
I mean, well, the guys would have pictures of the receipts. I can't remember if I sent you. It was like, I know exactly what they've given for Xbox because it's $302 for Series X that GameStop's giving you. So if you get anybody listen to this butthurt, man, you go get a little bit of your money back. But they were selling, and Sony mentioned this too, that their console sales this past winter was not what they thought it was. And I know for a second that Series S was $150. That's a good deal if you don't have anything like that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And you just get a Series S, and then it probably comes with a couple months of Game Pass, and then hell, you see what you want to sub up for that. But this struggle section was great. There was like there was some a lot of feelings were burnt. There were people beefing on each other and the shit. The people who had been beefing each other on Twitter, now they got a chance to talk to each other, just beefing the fuck out of each other. They had to get blocked and shit. There was like the guys like, freaking rappers only rap about PlayStation. They don't rap about Xbox.
Oh crap! What the country singers rap? They sing about the Xbox now.
The country singers they keep up with Xbox.
Yeah, man, that George Strait Xbox song is number one.
And then there was a lot of people who was like, if all my games are going to be on Sony, why do I got an Xbox for? There was a ton of people saying that shit. And it's like, well, I mean, my opinion is that once you got to that point where you don't think you had value or whatever, or you're sitting there trying to justify your value of whatever you spent, or it's already over for you, bro.
It's too late.
Yeah.
It's like people don't understand at this point in time, consoles are just a delivery system for games. Like, it's not like it was back in probably what PS2 and Xbox OG. Then there was a difference, but by the time PS3 and Xbox 360, that line had been very blurred. I mean, there were still exclusives, but there wasn't like one system was heads and tails better than the other. Not like a Sega Genesis and a Nintendo, Super Nintendo or whatever.
Yeah. As more and more games had these little weird parody clauses that some people say don't exist. There was some parody in a lot of that shit, or you got your one console that would sell better than the other one, and so what happens is this game, or they can buy this if that exclusive, but they're effectively in a lot of ways similar. It's not like the PS2 and the original Xbox. The original Xbox is way stronger than the original PS2 was. But the closer they got to being the same, it was more about taking a game away from the other guy. which probably didn't need to do. Either you had the first party exclusives, which we'll definitely get to, but a lot of it was like, we're going to buy extra DLC for Call of Duty, or you can only play this game on this one because we spent money. Rise of the Tomb Raider is a perfect example. I think it was like a year exclusive, and people were pissed because the first Tomb Raider reboot was really good, and so they wanted to play Rise, and then it's like, well, no, you can't. And then when it actually did go to PlayStation like a year later, people didn't care that much anymore. That's another hidden thing. Is like, if it, it's hot for a while, people are talking about it, and now if you really, really, really had to have it, you would just go get the other damn system, or people would have both. And then you would have definitely a preference. Anyone saying that it didn't have a preference is lying at their ass. But it would be related to how many fucking achievements do you have? How many old backwards compatible games did you have? And then, or what are your friends playing on? And Xbox talked about all that shit during the business meeting thing. Is that they're trying their best to have cross-play and cross-save as they slowly bring over their shit over to making them people pissed off. But the way I see it is, to me, I was pissed when they made the damn X1X and the PS5 Pro. I'm like, y'all want me to buy an update to keep playing the games that aren't performing
the same shit?
Yeah, they're not performing that great anyway. And then they said shit like, oh, well, that's just because this year it's the 4K TVs, and so our systems weren't good enough. So your Pro and your fucking X1X didn't play 4K anyway. Anything there was largely a lie, or it just played with like actual low settings and run like butt. There's supposed to be a PlayStation 5 Pro this year, but if you're looking at like, well, how many big games did Sony put out? They put out some, but it's like you might have sit there and struggled to get one for the first couple of years. It's hard as fuck to get one. And then you finally get one. It's like, well, you know what? You need to get the next one now. It's been 2 years.
It's like now it's time to start over. You need your expansion pack so you can play the Quake 2 at 30 frames a second instead of like slop.
It better not be an old helm. Quake 2. They put the anniversary version out around like August or whatever. It better not be running on them 30 fucking frames.
I was referring to the 64 version.
Oh, you're for the 64. You go deep cut with that shit.
You ever had the expansion pack, and it ran like glass as soon as you freaking put the expansion pack in. But yeah, and they're getting so close to computers. It's like you're basically buying a standalone computer at this point. Yeah. Kind of like, for example, when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, it was not on PC for like the first year or so.
More than that.
It was like a minute.
It was either 2 or 3.
It probably was because it was on 360, and then when Xbox One came out, I think it wasn't. It was like
they
might have been a launch time.
I don't know if they called it. Wasn't a launch. It wasn't. It
was like months later. Yeah.
Because
so it was like a few years.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, if it goes straight to PC and whatever consoles out.
No, they've already pretty much said no. I don't know if it's officially say no, but it's not. And so it's one of those things where, as a PC player, he's like, do I need to go out and buy a Series X to play Grand Theft Auto 6 at 30 frames a second? I don't want to do that at all. Fuck that noise.
Because it's going to melt that shit. I saw that trailer. I mean, if that's all gameplay, it's going to melt some shit.
Yeah. Well, then the next year, they're just going to be... Well, maybe Sony gets the Pro version because the Pro will be out around the same time. It'll be out a little bit before because I think it's like March of 2025. And so the PS5 Pro comes out this year. It'll be the fanciest way to play it. But then you'll have... do you know what they'll do? The freaking next Series X ZZZ box is coming out in 2025. That was in the business meeting too. That they're going to try to release one before Sony gets their PS6 out, and so the PS5 Pro will be out for a year, and then here comes the next thing. And so I could just see Take-Two charging you an upgrade for each damn one like they did on 5. Every time a new thing comes out, well, you need to buy this. Hell, they did it on PS5 anyway. But and then eventually, after you've got your PS6 and freaking Xbox, whatever the hell it is, I don't know. What is it? 720 times 2? So 440.
That's what I was about to say. Is it going to be a 1440?
The Xbox 1440 comes out and it costs that much money. that you could play.
Yeah.
After that's been out for a year, they'll finally bring it to PC. And it's the quadruple dip. Fuck the double dip. We're going for quadruple. And but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to wait. And I asked my friend Drew, who's a big Grand Theft Auto fan. Me and him went out and waited at midnight. A lot of people did when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. It was like an event. There was like 200 damn people in the city we live in at the fucking GameStop. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But I'm not fucking doing it. And he said no. And I was like, we'll just wait. We'll have to wait 2 or 3 years to get it on PC. But it'll be on PC. He says
It'll
it's
probably
a fucking
be
given.
better, you know.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing when they did come out with 5 a couple years later. It was like, didn't that when they added first person mode and it looked cleaner? I think on PC and Xbox One.
I want to say it was that shit was on Xbox, the Xbox One, and then it was like a year or something again before it was on.
Yeah, and
PC.
it came out of like another or something.
Yeah. But I think Tape 2 is going to be one of the few companies that still fiddles around with that shit, only because they know that they can double dip. If they didn't think they could double dip, then all that shit would be there day one. If they were worried about their sales, it would have been on Xbox and it'll be fucking mobile or whatever. Them Steam Deck, they would have all that shit going day one, and they definitely could. Any people talking about, well, they don't have the resources. This is Grand Theft fucking Auto. They have the
they'll find it. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. A lot of this shit about we're going to optimize it for these platforms first. No, that's a load of bull. And I think a perfect example of that would be, I guess people would say Starfield sucks no matter what, but Starfield is 30 frames on Xbox One, and I play that shit at 120 on PC. And you just turn on DLSS 3. Hell, they didn't even include it because he's fucking Todd. He's a moron. Just some guy made it DLSS 3 patch. You just put the shit in, and then all the damn optimization problems that Starfield had just gone. It's like gone. It's just all right. There it is. But it's a lot of people move to PC or different platforms. It's like, why is the console where we go? And I think that's where a lot of people start looking at what's the point of the Xbox. Yeah. If you have a PC, holding a Series X is largely redundant. There is a slight variation in what's in your Game Pass when you get them, because they'll put 360s games and shit on your Game Pass. Whoop you goddamn do, or they'll put third party, Xbox One stuff on there. But honestly, who cares about that? But on the PC Game Pass, EA will put. Like, this is their entire fucking catalogs there, and some of that shit's missing from the console.
The console.
So Jedi Survivor. So you ended up liking that, right?
Oh yeah, it was real good. I liked it.
Yeah. So that came out around April last year, whatever it is.
I think so.
It's due for popping up on Game Pass, and as long as EA realizes that their fucking version of online, no one gives a fuck. So it's better to take a cash bag of money from Microsoft and just be a part of theirs. It'll just be there. So Dead Space is already there, and that was like January last year. And then hell, I was kind of interested. I don't have time, but the Mass Effect, all the things are there. And so you just wait the shit out is largely what I do. And but if it's gotten to the point where there's only a point of owning like a console is like if you cannot fucking wait. Drew could not wait for Horizon Forbidden West, and he worked his ass off to get that PS5 because he got that shit like in 2020 or 2021.
It was like right at when they came out,
and so he had
but they're hard to find.
Yeah, real hard to find. And I think he had to be a member of Walmart, and Walmart gave preferences to people who had been on their list for a long time or some shit like that. It was some kind of thing like that. He had to do it. And so he got through. He played 100 hours, and then but when we borrowed that PlayStation for Eddie to play the new Silent Hill thing. It had dust all over it. It had fucking dust on it. It's like, yeah.
He played what he wanted to play. That's all that mattered.
Yeah, he got what he wanted. He had to get it, and now it's coming to PC in March. So you had a year and some change. You don't know for sure unless you buy the damn toy it's made for, but it just comes to everything else eventually. And I'm sure somebody's going to get that shit running on Steam Deck somehow for fucking 2 frames a second. We'll get this thing running.
They'll figure something out.
Yep. And then you'll have your Horizon on Game Boy. As I told Drew, is I like that game too, but I'm just gonna wait. For one thing, I don't like using the PlayStation controller, and then I had to buy. I ended up buying a Cronus Max. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah.
It was like a converter that will allow you to play. So I've got my Xbox Elite working on, but there was still something fucked up about it. It didn't feel right. So I was trying to play, as I was playing through the PS4 version of the first Horizon game, I'm like, man, I would love to have an Xbox controller, and I'm sure that's what a lot of people think too. And it goes back and forth. It's what you're used to.
That's the thing. It's like I was never crazy about the PlayStation 1 controller. So when the 2 came out, it's like I'm still not crazy about it. And then the 3, it's like, seriously, can we update the controller? And then finally they updated it with the 4. And it was better. But I haven't used the 5 as much, but it feels better. But I got so used to an Xbox One controller that it's like I love the feel of that thing.
Yeah, me too. And it really, as a gamer, you should be. We got to the point where all the motherfuckers popping a USB doesn't do anything. There's, and even if it was a
just throw
physical
some random drivers on there.
There should be no reason at all. They can't just flip the button and all of a sudden, third party shit. It's like, play your Xbox shit on PlayStation, and there's usually some third party who tries to end up doing that, or they'll make
somebody will come out with a dongle or something that adapts, but it's never the same.
Yeah, or hell, I've seen some kind of premium like Scuff style high caliber PS controller where you could flip, because your analog sticks are right there next to each other. You could flip them shits around so they look like Xbox. It's like an expensive gizmo. But as a PC person, you know what? I have to wait. I really want to play the new Stellar Blade. It comes out in April. I'm on to probably have to wait a year-ish. I don't know how long to play it, but I know it's coming. It's almost a certain it's coming. And there's games that have been on the NVIDIA freaking Shield leak from like 3 years ago that ain't showed up. And then we end up rearing the river. The reason why it ain't showed up is because they fucked this and this, that. And it's like, well, Demon Souls was a launch on PS5. So you're like, well, that shit should be out by now. It's like, well, no, they're still coming out. It should be this year. And freaking Last of Us 2 this year. You got a hint of that because they just remastered this shit for PS5.
Yeah.
And Ghost of Tsushima, they've had problems with that. But all of those are coming this year. And then you just to think when you don't think that guy, the freaking damn Sony damn president comes out, yesterday and says, we're bringing more shit to PC. It's like, okay.
Like we know.
You don't certainly know, but Oh, and of course, there's the during the big Insomniac leak a couple months ago, there is literally a PS2 version. I mean, a PC version of Spider-Man 2, which just came out last fall. It's out. It's like the Brazilian hack them up version, and some like modders are making it. And what's funny as fuck is they have like specs. They have like official specs, like as if it's a damn real release, but it's just guys they just got the source code and they're just putting the shit out.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. But I lost my chain of fact. But you should be able to play on what you want, and that's where they're going. That's where it's going. To if you want to play that shit on the fucking phone and when you're taking a dump, that's what Xbox wants you to do. They just want to make the sale. Now they just want
to make the games.
Yeah, they start off with those 4 games. Those are not important games. I don't think they're going to do that well, but that's just their start, because like Sony on PC, you can't just crank all that shit out. You make each one like an event. So it's like each time PC gets something, it's like, oh man. So, but that'll be like magnitudes more, even though it's games that most people don't play. I think Sea of Thieves is played by this amount of people. But you put the shit on Sony, and it's like a big story, and it's marketed, and then you lead up to Master Chief. I would have just started a Master Chief collection. That game's like fucking what, almost 7 or 8 years ago. Just throw that.
I was about to say, 7, 8 years ago, almost 10.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, you want to see something cool? It's like you can play Master Chief right now, right here.
Maybe if the Halo TV series wasn't shit, they would have done it. It's what makes sense. That's what Sony does, is they're making TVs or movie series for all of that shit, every single thing. But I sit there and see people's like, as soon as Halo appears on fucking, I'm done with Xbox. As soon as it appears on there, it's like, well, if you don't keep playing Halo, just play on PlayStation, man.
Yeah, I'm about to say that
they don't care.
It's just so weird. It's like it's one of those like I don't know. It's the old saying, "What you eat don't make me fat." It's like I don't really care what you play. I don't care how you play it, as long as and I just play it on what I want to play it on.
Yeah.
It's like I don't need to rationalize or justify, you know, what I bought because oh my god, somebody else is gonna be able to play Indiana Jones someday. It's like who gives a shit?
Yeah, well, for now they said, "Oh, this is the way they phrased it." So because people's like been talking about Starfield for the whole damn time. It's like the Starfield and Indiana Jones aren't a part of the 4 games that we're talking. They didn't say the games. They didn't want to say the games. Everybody knows though. But so it still didn't mean that it's coming to PlayStation. It's just a matter of fucking time. It is. It's just not the first 4. I got what you're saying. It's a whole bunch of bullshit goobly-goop when they're saying now this. But it seems to work because the Xbox are no longer killing themselves. All right, they're claiming victory or for
they were not getting their tattoos removed like they thought they were.
Their X tattoos on their buttholes.
Yep, they're getting their It's like the butthole is the O, and the X and the B's above it.
I want to say that they're just victims of marketing, but I think it's really more nostalgia because a lot of these people are older.
It's gotta be, man.
Yeah. I just made a PC for a friend's kid 2 years ago. He's around 14 now. And what does he want to play? He's going to play Xbox. He had an Xbox. He didn't want to play Rainbow Siege on Xbox. He wanted to play it on PC because when you go and you look at it at places like Twitch or whatever place, they're playing the PC version. It's all fast and shit. And it's like, crazy shit they're doing with mouses. And so the Zoomers, man, they're looking at stuff like Twitch, and they're like, most of those games are on PC, and so they're looking at PC. And there's number proof to back that up. You got 155 million PS2s back in the day. They've never matched that. Maybe Switch can match that, but they won't match that before the Switch 2 comes out.
No.
And so there's 50 million PS5s out there. There's 117 million PS4s. And so what you're seeing is it's going down, the amount of consoles, and making them the premium and the most important thing through your E3 or your marketing is confusing people. But I really do think it's right. It's just they're used to playing on the couch, and I sit there and people would tell me, he's like, no, I can't play PC games. I have to play on a couch. And I'm like, well, I mean, sounds like you need to get a couch to me.
Yeah, you get a couch. Oh, that's like on my PC, and I got 2, but I only use one of them primarily most time. It's like if I'm playing Diablo 4, I will play it on my PC monitor. If I'm playing Jedi Survivor, I'll play it on the TV. It's same with Resident Evil 4 Remake. It's like I'll put it on the TV. It's like just, you just do whatever you want to do,
Yeah.
Run you a long ass cable, or get you a couch and throw it in front of the monitor, depending on how big your monitor is, or whatever. It's the options there.
Yeah, and it's the same for Xbox. That's how I did my Xboxes as well. There's a time where I was pissed off at every freaking TV out there because they all had input delay, and I was freaking the fuck out, being a crazy maniac. But so I played my Xbox on monitor, and hell, I think last time I was playing them, I normally play them on monitor. But you can't tell people that. They've never heard that there's more than one output on the TV. That's fucking confusing to them, man. What the hell is a HDMI port cable anyway?
It's like I don't have anything plugged in my TV except power. I stream everything wirelessly.
Yeah. Hell, the fucking HDMI cable, I ain't to this day ain't seen it, but apparently they're supposed to have them Ethernet shit built into it, and I've never seen anything use that.
I have not either. And I remember when that was a thing where they're like, eventually it's going to come through your Ethernet. And then it's like, I think it just got to the point where Wi-Fi was just good enough that it didn't freaking matter. Because it's, what was it? HDMI, was it 1.1? Or one of the ones that had Ethernet in it, but nothing uses it.
2.0, I think, was the first. I could be wrong. They had a 1.3 and maybe a 1.4 that had you could get some kind of shit going on. There might be some compression shit or whatever to get kind of sort of 4K. I can't remember honestly, but the 2.1 is what is what I thought was real bullshit. But that's a different video. I think we've already had that discussion.
I think so.
Yeah. But there's just the guy who I think he grew up in the 90s or the 80s, and then he had his Nintendo there or his Sega or his Xbox, and then you played that shit in the living room. And to say that there's a different way to play it, to say that you can play it on your phone, to say that the console isn't the most powerful way to play it, it's fucking that is not in his mental radar. And to think about it, it was like blasphemy. There's so many people's like, well, you got to have a desk for PC. I do have a desk in the TV room that I normally play on when I use my keyboard and mouse, but you don't got to. There's goofy ass freaking lazy chair setup things where you can put your mouse on there, or you could go with the Steam's always. I hate the thing, but it's called big picture mode. It's what it is.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and it gives you access. It just turns your Steam library into a big console thing. This makes it more frustrating to use. But there has to be a market because a lot of people like to use it that way.
I use something similar for my arcade machine. It's called Big Box, but it does the same thing where it downloads all the. It runs on Windows 10, but it's made to boot up immediately after Windows 10 loads, and then it basically, and that's all it is. The same concept. It just makes the computer look like a console, and you're right. It does make things more complicated.
And so that's what you use on your stand-up setup?
Or on my the arcade machine that I turned into a main machine.
Yeah. And then do you use retrograde? I've still not to this day used that retrograde.
I used RetroArch.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I used RetroArch to match the emulators, and then I used the thing called Big Box. That's what lays over. It's actually Launchbox, and I think Big Box is like what the program there's like two versions of it. One of them it's made for like arcade machines where it turns the whole screen into a console and you just cycle through it like an arcade machine. But basically it tags into RetroArch, so it's kind of like you use it. It's almost like a wrapper on top of RetroArch on top of something else to just give you that console, appearance. And it downloads all the artwork, it's like you go down through there and you see like Mortal Kombat and you see all the arcade stuff on it and all that. But basically, yeah, RetroArch.
Yeah. See, I've never used it. I guess I'm the boomer on emulators because I just always pick the emulator and then have the emulator with the ROMs.
I did the same exact thing. This is the only time I've really used it just because it was going on an arcade machine and it made more sense to just let that do everything. But yeah, back in the day, it was like, get your ZNES or whatever and, run it. And God knows you had to get the right MAME thing with the right freaking, library.
I still to this day don't like MAME. Maybe using your RetroArch and shit made that great, but it got to the point where I always thought it was like just trying to get as many games.
That's pretty much what it
archived as opposed to actually playable and fun.
Because you have to tweak a lot of stuff in it. Now, once you tweak it, it's good to go, and you never got to touch it again. But you literally have to go through there and tweak every single arcade game on there. Whereas, like on Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega, you just set up the joystick like you did the controller, and whatever you load, that's what it's going to be on every single one of them. It's a whole lot easier.
Yeah. But the guy who sits there has to play in front of the TV. He's going to scream at you for getting them illegal ROMs, bro. You should pay for them games.
I did. I paid for every one of them.
Okay, all 10,000 billion of them. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
10,000 arcade games or whatever it was. It came with the arcade machine, So when I bought the what is it, Top Golf, Golden Tee, that's what it was. Yeah, it came. All the ROMs were loaded on it. I bought
They're
it.
already right there. They were
already on it.
They were running with the big fucking ball.
Yep.
Every single one of them worked on the ball.
Yep, that's what it was. What's very cool is you can get an adapter for that joystick and turn that ball into a mouse.
Oh God, no.
I haven't done it yet, but I was like, one of these days I might do it just for shits and giggles.
What's funny is the Zoomers these days, if you showed them a trackball, they'd be like, "What the fuck is that? That's an upside down mouse." It's like, no, it ain't. Mouse has lasers.
Yeah, man. Heaven forbid they have to clean that little rubber ball out to get all the fuzz off of it, so they could It's like, hold on, man, I can't get my kills in my death matches because there's fuzz in my damn mouse ball.
Yeah, my grandpa finally had a PC in his later days, and then he had that fucking trackball shit on there, and I'm like, how the hell do you do this? This is the only way I can, man.
Oh yeah, I remember. It's like because was his like the mouse with the big red trackball like up by the fingers, and you
It
would
was
roll
like
it.
a big fucking thing, and it might have been a mouse, but I think it was just stationary and it had that trackball shit.
That's what I meant. It
Yeah,
looked like somebody took a mouse, took the ball out, shoved it on the side of it, like near the top,
yeah.
and then you didn't move it at all. You just rolled that ball around, which is backwards as fuck if you ever try to use it. It's kind of like those ergonomic keyboards where they'd break in half and they
Oh
had like a little
god, dog.
mountain.
Yeah.
You can't be using that left hand on the right keys because you can't reach them.
The a lot of the guys these days, they don't even get the number pad. And my first opinion to me is like, I have to have that number pad because when I play Diablo 2, I need to make my character talk shit.
Yep.
That my number pad's gonna be there. And first of all, and then second off, I actually know how to use a number pad. I don't do any damn production or whatever on my fucking PCs, but I give my damn number pad.
It's like since I'm a lefty, I never got used to the WAS keys, the WASDs. And I remember somebody gave me shit one time because they're like, what are you using? I'm like, I'm using the arrow keys, and they're like, that's backwards as hell. And I was like, but I use the mouse in my left hand. I can't use the keys in my left hand and the mouse in the right hand. I'm fucking backwards.
Yeah.
He could not wrap his head around the fact that I use the arrow keys to like strafe. He thought I was like turning around and moving and stuff, and I'm like, no, that would be dumb. I don't do that. I just use the keys somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there's no reason they can't? I think you can, but there's no reason at all why Xbox won't let you just use a keyboard and mouse for the games if they wanted to. They've now got that figured out to what it is, and it's like, well, you've even got people cheating. They've realized that the guy with the auto aim on the console on the controller seems a little bit better than the guy who has the mouse, and so now they have these weird tricks where you would trick your fucking mouse. You would trick the game to think that your mouse was a fucking controller, and so you would have the auto aim in the mouse. And apparently, that's one of the best ways to play. If you're not just straight up using aimbot. Now, I want to say that maybe that's even on the consoles, but there's no reason why they can't run it. The guy who plays in front of who has to play on the couch, who has to play in the living room, because that's the only way it's possible. He's going to protest that shit to the high heavens, but. It seems to me overall that's what a lot of these characters are. But bro, they raise raging hell.
It's the same old thing. It's like, back in the Sega and Nintendo days, like, oh my god, Genesis version of Mortal Kombat is better. It's like, no, they actually both suck on Super Nintendo. It's like
they both suck. In the arcade of the arcade version, I think the arcade Mortal Kombat 1 sucks, but
Yeah, you go back and play Mortal Kombat 1 in the arcade, it's rough. I mean, it's like, holy shit, it's rough. I mean, at the time, it was visually appealing at the time more than it was, anything else. But, I mean, it's like that, herd mentality, like, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
Pepsi and Coke,
I could see, since Xbox is a platform, that's what they call, that all of a sudden that all of the demos and shit for Xbox are going back to being PCs, the way they were all accused back in the day. They were just like, no, this is the game. It's just on a fucking 5090, all right? 8K,
yeah, exactly.
120 frames. And then there's just PlayStation's like, you know what? Our PlayStation shit don't look that good. Let's show the PC port of the PlayStation. And then the guys were like, I gotta play on the couch, bro. Maybe they'll have a couch there as they're playing the fucking damn 7,000 frame PC demo thing.
Yep, 2 inches from the freaking monitor, probably.
Yeah, I got that going on right now. I'm hoping. Well, I know for a fact that Samsung has I want to say 32. No, they have a fucking 27-inch 4K monitor coming out this year. So they should finally get on these OLEDs. I still recommend one day grabbing one, bro. They're getting better. I don't know about the price. I think the price is outrageous, but they look so fucking good. But they're going to have some of those coming out this year. We're off on a tangent now, but to try to appease the Xbox who are raging mad, I kind of figured it's like they're just going to show. They're just like, okay, Activision Blizzard, we're coming to Game Pass, and so they're going to start. And so Diablo 4 is the first one, and it's pretty damn obvious that they're just trying to get players for that game. But I guess that's
exactly.
I guess that's a segue. Listen, man, I had a very high opinion of the story in about the first 30-ish hours of Diablo 4. It went south after that.
I honestly don't remember what the story was.
I skipped it. I got the story missions for the most part.
I couldn't even. And is now they've got it now where when you start a new character, you can just bypass the entire storyline
It's the
altogether.
adventure mode, yeah.
That's all it is.
That's what when I played the closed beta. I guess I can talk about that now, and they won't somehow get me. They're not going to listen to this anyway. It was the adventure mode. Is what it was, and so we didn't get this. There were story areas that were just locked off. We would come to an area, it'd be like, oh man, look at this cathedral, and you would even get the part where it zooms in, the camera zooms in about certain cinematic situations. It would zoom in behind your character and look at it like, this looks all badass, and you go there, there's nothing there.
There's nothing there to do.
I went to there was a shipwreck area where you had to go get something, and I'm going through the shipwreck in the closed beta. There's nothing going there. There's no monsters. I'm like, I can move around through this shit, and then I had a sorcerer, so I could teleport to. Even if you didn't have a ladder or whatever, I can teleport. I'm getting into deep woods, man. We're just like, we're off the grid, bro. We're off the grid of what they wanted me to play. And then tons of little placeholder, little monsters and stuff. But my opinion versus Diablo 3, I think the progression from your character's progression through skills and stuff is much better in Diablo 3 for getting like to 1 to 60. But I thought the Diablo 4 was okay. I felt it was a good foundation, and there was some stuff that there was some shit. I'm like, am I ever gonna get rid of this goddamn regular skill because it sucks?
Oh yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah.
Depending on it. The thing that is really fun is there's multiple builds that can. You remember how like in Diablo 2, there was a lot of fun builds, but you'd never do anything in hell with them.
Yeah.
You just couldn't. This is like. You can, there's good builds and there's bad builds, but there's very different ones that you can do. You can do a whole, and the thing is, they patched so much stuff over the year past since June or whatever it came out. It's like they've just changed a lot of things as far as basics go. Like what, and every patch when they come out with it, they look at like what nobody's using and they try to find a way to incorporate it. Like last season, the Hodabar was like the end-all be-all character, and I think it still might be one of the top characters, but they did nerf it down a little bit. It's like they don't do major nerfs. They do like slight ones to bring it down.
You need to go back to season 1 and think about that again.
They did in season 1. They fucked shit up in season 1. But it's like but they try to bring other skills up to like the Ren bar is like really good now, and for the past 2 or 3 seasons it's been like trash.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like since there is no public test round, they just throw shit out there and then immediately 2 days later have to hot fix every fucking thing they fucked up. But they try to overcompensate. They'll be like, oh, we're having a special event. Here's a bunch of experience and shit you can get and blah blah blah. But it's been more entertaining to me than 3 was because it doesn't feel like the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. I was not. I think I might have been cutting edge on the rage quits. Before everybody else even do it, I was like, I'm deleting this shit. I told the guy at work, he's like, man, you excited for season 1 or whatever? I said, no, I read the patch notes.
1 was nothing special. 2 was. Because I don't know if you've seen, they have 2 different teams working on it.
I know. I keep up what's going on.
Yeah, so 2 was like really big. 3 has been like ho-hum, but they've really kind of jumped on it to kind of make it better. And me and Will and Gary we just been playing Eternal up until season 3. And in season 3, it was like, oh, because honestly, I think the seasons were a little short.
They are short.
Because, it's one of those, if I've got to start a whole new character and start over, it was great in Diablo 2 days because the whole economy started over and it was fun, but they would only do it
Yeah.
every once in a while,
When
like years in
yeah,
between.
when we played Diablo 3, we didn't go to the seasons because it was just a leaf and a leaderboard at the start.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was
When
pointless.
we had quit is when they started making these sort of thematic things, and it's just copying it. Honestly, they're not. They might be the leader in sales. They're not the leader in ideas or market share or
Yeah.
fucking how the progress. Path of Exile is. It's been for a long time, and so Path of Exile would add these queer, weird ass gimmick shits, and so eventually they got to the point where okay, well, what we're doing is for the season is we're gonna try something out, and if it's really damn amazing, we'll add it, or if it's we'll add it in, or we'll keep it as a limited. Every once in a while, we'll have this like really broken, stupid thing, and then but their problem was they were so hell bent on season, they didn't let the Eternal Realm bake a little bit or cook. Broken
Yeah,
Knight, you
exactly. I
should have
mean,
just
literally,
yeah,
they're on season 3 and the game hadn't even been out a year.
yeah.
I
Um,
mean, it's like they should probably still be on like season 1, if
they should
anything.
maybe just now be starting season one.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's like they shouldn't even have. Because I remember when season 1 came out, I was like, shit, man, I ain't even got my first character where I want them to be. It's like, I'm not going to go start a new one,
yeah, yeah.
especially if it's only going to last for 3
Yeah,
months.
that
It's
was
like,
it's a severe fuck up. It's a severe fuck up in the point where what as somebody who I'm not a game developer, but I'm played so many fucking games that I know if you have made an open world game and your season patch is pretty much pushing you into nightmare dungeons to avoid the open world, y'all done fucked up. Y'all done fucked up bad.
yeah.
And when they didn't really seem to have anything that was interesting with the season mechanic, even though that was being built, that shit was done before they had the game out. But when I'm sitting there thinking about, well, my sorceress has got a whole bunch of problems with it, and it's like, well, you know what? And then they realize that fucking elemental defense doesn't even work. And I'm like, we're gonna patch that in 2 seasons from now. I'm like, the fuck you ain't, because
And that's
I'm
exactly
deleting this
what they
shit now.
did. It took them about 2
Yeah,
seasons to do it.
yeah. I'm deleting this shit now. That should have been shit that you should have fixed before you even got to seasons. But for anybody who doesn't play or is like, why the fuck do y'all keep making new characters? This just seems like it just dumb. Is like the point that they get to is they don't want you spending hours and hours and hours to reach 100. Maybe we might have been balanced that way to start with internal, but they want you to play and have it be done essentially within a couple weeks. If you sit there and put 10 hours a week, you might get a fucking month out of it, and then you're done. But the point is to try to sell you a season pass thing where you feel like,
Yeah.
okay, there's going to be gear that you need to play, even if you're not really particularly interested in what they have going on this year, or you think your character's fucked up or whatever, or you're trying a new character out and you just days are vibing. They want you to play long enough to get that season pass where they're going to give a goodie that's only available that season. Now, if they were not fucking assholes, they would sit there and let you later on get access to that equipment or whatever. Halo Infinite works like this, and this should not be like some fucking side thing that only a couple games are doing and get praised for. It's like, okay, you're a live service, you want you just to play every 3 months, but they throw that fear of missing out shit so bad on you that so when Halo says, you know what, if you buy the season 1 shit and you don't get through it, it's still there. You can still get the shit later on, and so it's all building on top of each other. That's better than what they've done. The only reason is they've got it left that way is they're worried about game bloat, and then but particularly they want you to keep paying and logging on and buying stupid shit like the fucking $65 horse.
Yeah.
I don't know if
And
you heard about
that's yeah, I'm sure there. That's the one thing about I've noticed. It's like I there's almost so much cosmetic stuff that you don't feel like you should get all of it, because I don't know if it would be like logical to get all of it because there's so goddamn much of it. You know what I mean? It's just like, dude, you'd be spending thousands of dollars on that random shit,
yeah, yeah,
to have a horse thing that, And the thing about the season, the cool thing about it is you don't have to pay for the season pass. You just log in and make a season character.
yeah,
You don't get all the basically as you go through like the levels of it, that you get some of them for free, and then some of them you only get if you had the battle pass. But it's like it's just bullshit. You know what I mean? It's one of those. There's no reason to really pay for the individual seasons unless you just just doing something stupid. But no, that's kind of like when they did the vampire season. I started a character for like um, a couple of minutes, and I'm playing as it, and then I was like, wait a minute. If I get done with season 2 and I do all this vampire stuff, when this character goes to Eternal, they're not going to have any of that vampire shit.
Nuh-uh.
And then I looked and I was like, oh, who gives a shit? So I just went back to Eternal. And then when 3 came, it's almost like you need to pick and choose which ones you want to bother with.
Yeah, yeah. You have to
And
get with your friends and say, "Hey, man, we gonna play. We're gonna
and
run this
that's
season."
exactly, yeah, that's what we did. We ended up, because we skipped season 1, we skipped season 2, and then we were like, you know what? Okay, we played this game for 6 months now. Okay, now we'll do season 3. And I think that's one of the reasons we didn't get burned out on it, because we didn't grind for 3 months and then another 3 months on a new season. We just kind of like,
Yeah, yeah.
we didn't feel a need to do every single one of them. And that is one they even mentioned it in one of the player on the notes. It might have not made the patch notes, but it was one of the releases. It was like one of the things they did was like make leveling not feel like so much of a job.
Yeah.
And so it's like you can get some pretty good experience doing a lot of different things. Unlike Diablo 2. I mean, that was, it was a freaking job sometimes to level up after like 85.
Yeah, the real problem with me with the seasons is that the end game just isn't there. The cool thing to run is Hell Tides. The dungeons, I think, suck, especially compared to Diablo 3, and that should not be the damn... Diablo 3 should not be beating you on any metric. just straight up.
It's hard to say. The vault dungeons are new this season,
You
and
like
they're
them?
interesting.
Were you just running through? I think you're running through without actually having to fight shit.
No, there's shit
Traps?
in there. There's
Okay.
traps and bosses. It's basically a nightmare dungeon, but it has a higher reward thing at the end if you don't get hit by the. Basically, how it works is there's a little totem. You go in there and you click on it, and every time you click on that totem, it gives you like 10 of these little they have a name, but it's just blanking on me. Basically, it gives you 10 of these things, and you can click on it as many as you want to. Depending on how many little shards you have built up, and it's so damn easy to get shards, you'll end up with like thousands of them. So you kind of bet on yourself, and you'd be like, all right, I'm going to pick 50. Because what it is, when you get to the very end, there'll be some chests, and there'll be like 3 or 4 chests. And if you've got enough to get all the chests, you'll get a shitload of stuff.
Yeah.
And then every time you get hit by one of the traps, one of them gets taken off. So, like, let's say you bet 50 that you just get 50, and then, like, you go in there and you get hit 4 or 5 times, though, then you got, like, 40-something. But you'll still have plenty when you get to the end of it. You only need, like, 15 or 20 or so. And that was something they added toward, like, in the first patch after the season came out. They were, like, traps for hitting people multiple times, bullshit like that. People were like, fuck this. And then on top of it, you get to upgrade your nightmare dungeon, like your little glyph sockets also. So it's like a double play thing. The Derails things are really cool. That's who you want to run.
I've heard that it gets kind of monotonous.
It can, but not too bad.
Y'all didn't get... Did you able to get to super unique you wanted?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you was able to get it.
Yeah, I think Will was missing one, which they fixed that in the newest patch. The newest patch has it where if you have super uniques, and it only counts for like the uber uniques, it ain't just any unique.
Yeah.
You can cash in like one, and every time you cash one in, you get a little spark, and if you get 5 of those, you can pick any of them you want. So you can craft one. It just costs you 5 that you don't like.
I'm thinking of the part where you're able to craft and break down the ones. But what they had at the start was like, no, some guy in another country is going to get one time on stream, and then that's it.
And that's how it started. Like, I remember it being a big deal where it's like when the first grandfather sword dropped, and then like the second one didn't drop for like months, and they finally were just like they're like, fuck this.
Yeah. They wanted it to be so obsolete that it was like you're gonna get hits. And way Asmongold said is like you would be financially irresponsible if you didn't sell your account with that thing on it.
Yeah, exactly. And at the time, and now, but one thing we have noticed is funny is once you get one, you'll start getting more of it. Like we played for nights, and basically what it is you do the tree things. They made the tree things actually worth the crap. And you would get some summon things where you could summon this one guy up, and he would drop you like the eggs, and then you would do the living still that you get from Helltide chest, and that guy would drop the shards. And basically, it would cost like 2 shards and 2 eggs to summon Darrell like one time. So basically, and if you got a group like me, Will, and Gary, it's like everybody kind of combines their efforts, and then we'll start doing like
But
runs on
do y'all do it like
people.
what was it? The fucking I damn the thing in Diablo 3 where you go in the open world and you get the materials. So is it like that? Where y'all kind of go split up, or y'all just on top of each other?
Oh, we're just on top of each
Okay.
other. It's like whoever, he's kind of because what it is both those bosses and the Helltides they all drop gear also, so you can get good stuff from them. Um, and then you use that to summon Darrell. But no, it's like one thing I was looking for like last on the Eternal Realm before season 3 came out was a Doombringer, and it was like literally like every time we'd run, I'd never get a Doombringer, and then finally one night I got a Doombringer, and then in the same night, I got 3 more fucking good Doombringers. So I ended up with 4 of them in one night of running.
Do you think there's
Uh,
some sort of sympathy? Well, I mean, you're just now going just like you've got your gambling magic thing going on. You just don't really know. You think there's like a sympathy thing that starts kicking in?
I I don't know, but we have noticed that like if you're like trying to get a Shaco, and you finally get a Shaco, it's like the second or third one comes a whole lot quicker than the first one did. So it's kind of it's there's got to be some type of background logic behind it. It sounds weird, but I swear, man, it's like and it's like as far as those 4 Doombringers, that's the only ones I've ever gotten
Yeah.
from him. I got 4 in one night, not a one since, I don't think.
I mean,
But
that just could be the RNGesus, man. It's really
I
this.
think it could be. It's one of, but we have noticed it's like once you finally get like one thing, you're like the second or third comes way
Yeah.
quicker than the first one. So, but it could just be coincidence also.
Now, season 4 is when they're going to try to redo the itemization. Now, when I first thought, I didn't know what the fucking things were. I'm like, man, look at all these cool things. This is going to be great. And then I started readily vocabulary. I said, no, it's just like Diablo 3. They're just simply for the best, period, the end. And it's just damage related. And then it's you wanted percentages, and then you wanted a vulnerable. They fixed the vulnerable shit pretty good, right?
Oh yeah, it's pretty
Before,
good.
before
There's
it's like if you weren't invulnerable, then you're not playing right. It's just
It
period.
helps a lot, but it's one of those like there's other it makes it where there's not like one end all be all certain like there's like rings. You'll be like there's certain 4 things you want on rings, but it depends on the build, it depends on what you're doing, it depends on like it's like sometimes you'll be like, I really want some lucky hit chance. Like in Diablo 3, it was easy. It was freaking critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and then throw in like some attack speed and some life. And on here, it's like, well, maybe I don't need the life, but I do want
The
the
tax pay,
lucky
yeah,
hit.
yeah.
Or it's like there's a lot more variables to it, and you really got to look at damn near everything that drops that's not blue or white. But like yellows, like some of the best shit in the world will be a yellow because you're almost never going to find that legendary that has the
You're
aspect you
you're
want
making
on
that
it.
shit.
Yeah, you're going to end up making it because if you find something that I mean, you can swap aspects, but you're almost never going to find something that has the aspect on it you want with the exact like stats on it you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so it's like a lot of times what you'll do is you'll find something yellow and you'll be like, all right, 3 out of 4 is good. I'll gamble the fuck out of this fourth one until I make it what I want, and then you'll just throw an aspect on it and upgrade it so that way it doesn't cost you as much in the long run.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
thinking that maybe they've already done it, but when you would go to the dungeons and you would get the ghetto version of the aspect or whatever that you could craft with, that should
you
probably
don't even bother with that shit.
yeah, no one does it. But you should probably they should maybe have that level up with your character. That would give you a point where maybe you could put the point where once you've leveled up to a point and you're having trouble getting this gear for whatever reason, that you could just make that shit with using your aspect and be done with it.
Yeah,
Um,
and see the thing is the aspects in the dungeons are basically baseline. So like let's say on Twisty Blades, it's like you have a 15 to 30% odd. If you go in the dungeon and get it, it's going to end up being a 15.
yeah.
Whereas if you go find the gear somewhere, it could have a 15 or a 30, so you can get. So it's one of those that if you're starting your character starting out and you don't have a lot of gear, then yes, those dungeons are great. But after level 20, there's no point. You're better off just starting to make, and that's why they start making about level 25, you can start making nightmare dungeons, and you can scale them up to however high you want to go, so you get like way more experience, and you're working on your paragons at that point.
Yeah.
So, well, at level 50, but you know what I mean. It's like it's 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 a lot different than it was when it first came out. They've done fairly well, as opposed to when Diablo 3 first came out.
Well, that took like
Um,
2 years.
it took 2 years for them to get
One of
all
the
this
big
shit straightened
differences
out.
that you know, they did that Loot 2.0 on Diablo 3, and it took forever. But it really looks like Loot 2.0 is like March, so it's not, the game only about a year. Well, I mean, it also says that, you know what, maybe your game should have been fixed to day one if you gotta
Yeah, no
immediately
kidding.
redo your gear because it isn't working right. Um, it really come to me that they know what the fuck they're doing.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you can tell when they'll release a big patch, they almost always accidentally fuck something up because there's no public test realm. So
I don't know.
they'll throw something out and
I
it'll
don't
be
know what
like,
they thought
holy
it was.
fuck.
So I don't know if it's destroying the mystique of it all or whatever. But I guess because characters builds and all that shit's already done on day one. Otherwise, but I don't know. They really need a test realm for some of this shit. Something like literally changing the itemization in your entire game. That needs a test
Oh,
realm.
there was one patch that came out that lowered, and this is when I had my rogue that was like level 100, maxed out, like just doing really good. One of the patches came out, and for some reason, it dropped all your glyphs on your glyph sockets in your paragons down like 2 or 3 levels. So I had them all like at 15, so they would have like their maximum radius on it, and it dropped them all down to 13, which accounted for like 2/3 of my fucking damage and my resistances. And it was like, what the fuck? Why am I dying? And then I started looking, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I remember I got pissed off. I was like, I'll play tomorrow when they fix this shit. And sure enough, next day there was a hot fix up. But I was like, this is fucking stupid. How do you not see this coming? That you don't, that you're literally, this is going to break the Paragon system as soon as you
The only
launch it.
thing is, I think that they're worried about trying to be Diablo 3. They want to be Diablo 2.5. No,
They want to be different.
they're going to be Diablo. It looks like Diablo 3.5. Especially when you
It
got the
reminds me
season
of
style to it.
Diablo, yeah, Diablo Immortal 4.2 or some
4.2.
bullshit. Because that's what it feels like. It's like a mixture of Diablo 3 and Diablo Immortal, which I only played for like, 30 minutes one day. But that's kind of what it feels like. Um,
Speaking of Diablo Immortal, I did notice you got the WSD set up in there. I guess you're not gonna do it, but I would play with WSD. I liked it. I play with W as my walk because I don't want to. Because I think if I put too much work on my right hand, holding down the mouse click all the time to move, it'll give me some carpal tunnel shit. So I can.
yeah.
But I did
I have trouble in
Immortal. I
games.
liked it.
It's so innate for me that I have trouble with that. And I think it would be great. I think I'd be a better player if I did use it.
I can like remember what was his name, the fucking Belial with all the shit at the end of meteors.
Yeah.
Everybody be dead beside me. I just moved through that crap. And
Well,
even
that's
when
like
Maltheus would kill me in pretty much one hit, he had to get through all of my cool bars of bullshit before I died as a sorceress. But as soon as he hit me, I died pretty much in one hit because they didn't have a fucking resistance. But
well, that's kind of how they have an Echo of Lilith, which is like a Uber Lilith that you can go fight, and you just go straight to her and fight her. She's got like a bajillion hit points, but she has one hit kill moves that you cannot take no matter what. If you got a shield up, it doesn't fucking matter.
yeah.
You have to dodge those. So when you're bouncing around, dashing and stuff as a freaking rogue, you can accidentally kill yourself way more times than she will. Because like it's on the, if you remember fighting Lilith originally, like the screen shrinks, like the fighting, and it's the same thing. It's like it starts shrinking, and you basically got to kill her twice, and it's one of those like you can get her down, but the one hit kill moves or whatever, and it's one of those I could probably do way better at it if I didn't use a mouse in that, but it's also one of those fuck it, I'll go run Darrell and have a better chance of getting something anyway.
Yeah. I want to run something by you because this has been in my mind. I said I ain't playing Diablo 4 till the next expansion comes out this winter. But I was thinking in Diablo 2, it's like how often do I just pick Sorceress and go for the same goddamn shit? I was thinking like when I did Monster Hunter World, I let a random number generator determine what weapon. And I'm like, what if in Diablo 2 I just run a random number generator for the class, so 1 through 7, and then for the 3 skill points that your 3 main skills or whatever, you end up putting the 20 points in. And I'm like, I'm going to think about it. It's like, what kind of crazy shit would you have to do? And the goal would be to beat it on hell. It wouldn't be to the ace the shit out. It was like, what kind of crazy shit would you end up doing? It's like if I could druid throwing ravens at something like this. This is my best build, bro. It's the only one I can do.
I'm about to say, I don't know if you would be able to do much in hell, depending on what you got.
I would think that it would be a struggle.
On Diablo 2?
Yeah.
Because it depends on immunes. I mean, what if you do a random number generator and you end up with, like, say you pick a sorceress and it's like you can only, and it picks like blizzard and like ice spike and freaking, like teleport.
Yeah. You would have to run past everything that's immune. There's no boss that's immune, right?
There's some they're not immune, but they're highly resist.
Yeah, you would have to tag his ass with a weapon that has do not heal. And then grind your face against it.
Yeah,
that's you're like, hell no. To me, it sounds interesting as fuck.
It sounds interesting as hell. It depends on, for instance, like the assassin had that one move, the little shuriken move. It's like that thing was freaking awesome until you got to hell. It was useless. Yeah. But the idea of it was really cool. Yeah. Even 20 points in hell wouldn't get you through the den of evil. So,
but I bet you people have ran through the game with no fucking skills with probably each character. So
I'm sure they probably
you would at least have 3. We might have to sit there one day. I'm busy with Eddie at the moment, and I think Eddie would be scared. But it's like
you could try.
It would put a nest because it's a game I really love. But I always play the same fucking class and pretty much the same shit, and it ends up about the same way. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
What if there's no way at all? What it would do, it would just still say Blizzard and or Meteor and goddamn fucking Ice Orb. It's like, you're Meteor Orb for the 40th time. This is your.
You'd have to reset.
This is your destiny.
What I'm about to say is you could make use of the mercs.
You would have to use the mercs, yeah. That would help you a fucking shit ton on stuff like that. And then you would equip them with, you would try the low-level runes. So you would find a rune board that has can't hit monster hero, because I'm pretty sure there was. I can't remember exactly what. I have to look. I think there's a hat does, or a unique hat that you can get from Nightmare Mephisto.
Yeah. There'd be something.
But you would need prevent monster hero even before Nightmare Mephisto. They'd have to put some rough shit. It might have to be where you're just leveled up way more than you would normally be. Like full on, like Act 1, you're level 16. Full on Act 2, you're like level fucking 25 or some shit. Just to be able to do it.
I don't think you would have much trouble until you got to hell.
Yeah.
Because Nightmare, you could knock out Nightmare with like bullshit skills. I don't know if you remember that time where I made like a level 90 something like melee Zon. It was fucking terrible, but she could take out Diablo. I mean, by just throwing points in critical strike and damn, shit like that. Yeah. It's like she could do that and just put a damn strong ass sword in her hand.
Yeah, and also I've got no problem because the way I played Sork anyway, I usually was in my 20s before I had the skill that I would even use. I'll just run around with a goddamn large axe and fucking for the first 2 acts and whack on shit and use potions. But yeah, I'm interested. I'm probably going to dabble with it. One of the sooner or later. I don't know if it's this year. I do want.
I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
It'd be worth trying.
I might just. Eddie would definitely do it for me, but I don't know if he would. We would make him. Hey, so what happens? You play with somebody. Maybe that one guy has something that isn't completely stupid, and he's the hard carrier for the whole team.
Yeah, he's like point leader.
It's like my fucking bow. My bow, damn paladin sucks, but he has a barbarian with a stick.
He's like maybe one of us could get one of us could get like a paladin, and maybe one of the skills would be like one of the ores that would actually be worth the shit.
Yeah, you'd be so excited. It's like, oh,
one of us would get conviction or you'd have
prayer. It's like, man, my fucking regen's like a badass as fuck, bro. It's just gonna take 20,000 years to kill something.
And you're gonna have to fix your weapon like 9 million times.
So you have to grind up gold or some shit.
That's one thing about 4 is like, the only reason your stuff becomes damaged is when you die and you don't get revived. So if you dive and you revive yourself, you lose 10% every time. So it's not really a lot, but if you died 4 or 5 times, that's 50%. So it does add up.
Yeah.
But if somebody is near you and they revive you, then it doesn't go against you. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I
But
think it'll. I'm not happy with the state that's in, but I think it will get there. Of course, they'll break new shit. But
they'll break new shit.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like Diablo 2. Diablo 2 was fun, but the expansion pack's really what turned it over.
Yeah,
It was like, holy crap, it was awesome once, LOD came out.
Yeah, and Monster Hunter's the same way. But we'll have to see. But I don't. I think it's really stupid that they have to learn the same fucking mistakes.
Shit over and over
and over again. You're on the fourth one. You're 20, no, almost 30 years. You're almost 30 years in to fucking this genre. You made the genre, and y'all are fucking it up. So I don't understand. How do you not see that the things like, oh, well, resistances don't work? How do you not understand that?
That should have worked day one.
It's mind-boggling. And so it's got to the point where I'm sure you've seen is like where they were making the fucking some of the guys that do the 3 guys that do the little fireside chat or whatever, making them play the game. It's like, we got to see that you are playing the game that you made that we don't think you play.
Yeah, as we hold the controller fucking wrong.
Hold that shit upside down.
It's fucking ridiculous.
A fucking Wii U remote.
Yeah. It's so funny because I remember like when the game first came out, it's like I remember putting stuff in resistance, like resist all, like I think diamonds did it or something in jewelry. And then you're like, this shit ain't working. And then you just go around and start putting skulls in it because at least armor worked. But then once like season 2 came out, they fixed it and you're like, oh, so you go back and putting diamonds in. It's like, this is really something that should have been like not broken at all ever.
Yeah,
it should have been like the...
Or really, they really thought that we wanted to go and talk to all those fucking people all the time and then spend 2.5 hours getting the Lilith shrines.
Question.
I finally got the Lilith shrines. Me and Eddie sat down there and worked our ass off on all the ones we missed. And I'm like, it took 2.5 hours. Like, do y'all want me to do this every fucking time? I didn't do it. No,
you don't have to do it every time.
Yeah. I didn't do it until they said that you couldn't.
Because it was one of those. If it was not going to be carried out, that's when I started doing it. It was
not going to be done. Yeah, it was just not going to be done. Fuck it.
Because it was like the renown points and stuff like that. I was like, if I have to do this every time, it's going to be annoying as hell. And then that's when they announced, like, no, these stay no matter what. Even on it's seasonal. When you go to a seasonal character, you still keep all that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I ain't doing this shit all the time. And it was. It's like between me, Will, and Gary, we just kind of all doubled up. And it was one of those where it's like, hey, do you have this? We would be doing something, and it'd be like, hey, do you have the one right here? And if you didn't have it on your map, then one of us would run over there and grab it.
I do think when you guys do, now that you're in the seasons, going back to the Eternal, it's going to be a kind of a hit to you. But you just kind of look and see what the hell the next season's going to do and say, hey, bro, are we playing this? And then, yeah, you do that, or you don't.
Like I said, if we had started playing season 1 and then season 2 and then we went to season 3, I think we'd all be burned out by now.
Yeah.
But the fact that we were like, okay, let's just not do season 1 or 2, and then we came in on 3, it's kind of like, well, this is a change of pace. It's like, so it's like, I guess it depends on season 4, but it's one of those, we just kind of play at our own pace, so it doesn't feel like,
the super boomer pace.
Yeah. Get up there, get your shit, get where you can decimate everything, and then it's like time to start over on something else.
Yeah, they're going to get to the point where there might be things to play 100 hours each season if you're a fucking nutsoid, but really they're going to put that shit about 20 or 40, and you just decide, hey man, we're doing it, and so we're in toward the end because we're waiting for Diablo 4 to come out, and we played through several. That's why we got the damn codes to be in the beta. Was we were playing some Diablo 3 like that, and we would do some of the test realms or whatever, but then you kind of decide to yourselves, yo, we want to run this as a gimmick, we're all going to be one character and stuff like that, and it makes that more interesting to just whatever they got going on. Kind of make your own fun. But I think we're at a pretty good stop point. One thing, my video ad on screen flipped to another one, so yeah, we're going to cut it short. So Diablo is on. For those who haven't, for some reason, haven't bought it, it's going to be on Game Pass. Of course, the real key there is they don't have the expansion on it. So, but all right, we're going to stop it.